Hi everyone, this is Ishita here and I'm the trainer from SAP SuccessFactors Learning Management System LMS from Uplatz. Today I will be talking about the navigation of the administrator side of interface. Let's move on to day 3 of navigation side of administrator interface. So along with what we have covered previously, we will be, covering and summarizing with the entire administrator side of interface. So when we talk about administrator side of interface, we have learned about various functionalities, workspace, how navigation is being considered and how, it is being navigated is part of workspace. So what we have learned previously is access and explore the user entity concepts and layout, how, people user can be found, how domain map to that particular location can be used as a filter option. We how we can search various filters using the filter criteria, adding or modifying the search criteria. How do we download the search results into a Microsoft Excel format? So how do we view the required data by various department or by various organizations? How do we filter the data by domains? How do we filter it by item ID or item title? If not, if an item status is active or inactive, or if a curriculum status is active or inactive, how do we filter it out? When reports are being considered, how do we filter out reports? How do we search for various reports? All of these things is something we have learned, how to sort results in ascending order or descending order. As part of navigation of administrator interface, we have also learned about each of the icons. We have also learned what is the usage of dollar, what is the usage of plus, minus, multiplication, question mark, which is help icon. How do we modify the fields in the workspace is something that we have learned about, right? How do we use the menu navigation? How do we use recents? What is the importance of menu navigation? What is the importance of recent functionality? Apart from that, we have also learned exploring the layout of the administrator side of interface and its entities. We have also learned navigation to the cross-linked entities, meaning to say, as part of navigation side of interface for users from the user learning homepage, we have also learned how an item can be linked to a curricula, how an item can be linked to a program, how multiple items can be grouped as part of curricula, how multiple items can be grouped as part of program. What is the usage of program? What is the difference between a curricula and program? Where is curricula used? Where is the functionality of programs being used? Why two different entities like curricula and program are important in the case of LMS module? So this is something that we have learned, right? Next is we have also learned about the layout of the entity manager. When we talk about layout of the entity manager, we have learned how the header tabs are. What is the title bar? We have also learned about the translation. We have also learned about localizations. When we talk about translations and locales, we have learned how, you know, the different languages are being used inside the SuccessFactors LMS across various geographies. We have also learned as part of the entity manager, how do we save the details, how we discard the changes, how do we, look forward to edit something. Is it, if we do not feel like saving, do we need to save or do we need to cancel that as part of the layout of the entity manager? Which fields can be displayed, which fields are mandatory, which fields can be hidden? This is also something that we have learned as part of the layout of the entity manager. As a manager, what is accessible? As a manager, what you will be able to see? As an instructor, what you will be able to see is something that we have learned through roles and permissioning. How will you permission a manager? How will you permission an instructor? How will you permission a super administrator? How will you permission a normal admin? This is something that we have learned about. Next is layout of the learning administration homepage. Yes, we have, a defined walkthrough. We have a brief walkthrough of the layout of the learning admin homepage. We have learned how the learning admin homepage can be catered. We have also learned, how various configurations can be done inside, how we can, link cross-link entities, how it can be added, how it can be modified, how it can be deleted. This is something that we have learned about. Talking about menu navigation, we have also learned about, how do we navigate through menu navigation. We have the option of expanding all, we have the option of collapsing all. Under which tabs do you see which functionality is being defined? If you have to, see items or curricula, where do you go? We need to navigate down to learning activities. Where do we, navigate down to if you want to search for some reports in the LMS system? We navigate to the report section, right? Under report section, what do we have? We have various entity management available. So that is something we have learned about. To pull down a report, what criteria can be used? Like a custom date range can be used. A custom filter can be used. An entity can be used. A domain can be used. A role permission can be used. Right? Everything is something that we can navigate. Where do we start first with the menu navigation? When we talk about menu navigation, we also learned about, the global application settings of the LMS instance. So we have understood how the global application settings of the LMS instance are configured, how global mail settings or global application settings control the entire instance of LMS is something that we have learned. How workspace area is defined, how important it is to understand the usage of the workspace. We as administrator or we as SuccessFactors LMS consultants, it is utterly important for us to navigate through the workspace, understand how the workspace navigation can be used, understand the better utilization of the workspace to get better results according to what the requirement of the client is. To provide a solution, we need to understand which entity can be used, which functionality can be used as part of this. This is something that we have learned, right? Apart from that, we have also learned how do we use filters. How do we, sort and search in the filters? Um, when we talk about sort and search filters, we also learned about we can, segregate them in the ascending order. We can segregate them in the descending order. What is the usage of filter icon? We have, seen at each of the fields, we have seen there is a filter icon. So what is the usage of that filter icon? What if that icon is not available? And what if that filter icon is not used? How does it help us in day-to-day activities as part of the, LMS super admin or administrator? Most important among what you see right now on the screen is navigation to the cross-linked entities, download, view, save, search results. This is very, very important because you might have thousands and thousands of data into the system. So you will not be able to edit anything. You will not be able to view the required information to the system. So what happens here is when a download option is being provided to you, you download the data into the Excel format and then you notice that, you are able to download it and, you are able to see the required employee ID, user ID, and then you see the job location, you see the hire date, you see the termination date, you see the email address of the user being linked to, is the user also available as an instructor. So this is all that thing that we see through download, view, and save and search results. So if we like to use that filter again and again, suppose say for example you will have to pull the report again and again for certain set of list of users, we can save that search results, which will help in minimizing the effort hours that it consumes to set the filter conditions that it takes to sort the search results. So in order to save the time, the save search results option can be optimized, and that can be utilized in a better way. For repurposing of it, I would also suggest, put the user IDs, put the employee data, and have the Excel sheet, downloaded Excel sheet, updated in your local machine, right? So that will help you in day-to-day activities to understand what information was earlier, what has been added, or what has been modified. What is the summary of the user profile? Or for any case, it can be for an item, it can be for a curricula, it can be for a program, it can be for a navigation to the cross and linked entity. Suppose, for example, you see that a curricula is linked to an item today. After a week or 15 days, the client comes and says back to you that we do not see the curricula being mapped to the item anymore. So how do you find that? In order to find that, you would, first check the navigation to the cross-linked entities. Next is, you will see how who has deleted it. And in order to understand all of this repurposing, where would you navigate down to? You would navigate and use the download view and save search results option. So results, search results, or any kind of resulting option, which is sorting or search or filter. It gives a defines criteria. It gives a more granular search result, which will help you in the day-to-day activities. Now let's talk about, what we are going to cover today. We are going to cover today is SuccessFactors Learning Administration Interface in continuation to SAP SuccessFactors Learning as an Administrator. SAP SuccessFactors, in SAP SuccessFactor, how a new user is added and how they are being, granted all of the roles into SuccessFactors learning system. Searching for entities is something that we have looked at. We have also looked at how an item can be searched. If you do not have the item ID, if you don't have the item title, how do you search for that particular item? Adding or removing search filters. We have also seen how we add and remove the search filter. Next is adjusting the display of your search results. This is something that I talked about is we can add a particular field which is not available in the workspace area by adjusting the display of the search results. So what happens in this case is when a display option is being available and it is not available under the search result, we can adjust it. We can make the field available according to what our requirements are, right? Now let's move on to the first one for today's topic, which is working with user entities. So when I talk about user, when we talk about define how a new user is added into the SuccessFactors learning, we have seen how, an integration of SuccessFactors Employee Central or SuccessFactors Employee Profile is being mapped with SuccessFactors LMS, right? So it is main areas of the user entity is divided into two main areas. One is header area, which is currently mapped in green color. And then there is tab area, which is currently in blue color. So all the tabs that you see over under the user field, which is under the personal information, it can be city, first name, middle name, last name, address, state, postal code, hire date, domain, job info, position, title, department, organization. These are all, what? These are all under personal information. These are all the, information that is required for the user to navigate through the screen. When a user accesses the SuccessFactors learning homepage, they should be able to, see all of this information as part of their learning user profile. And how does this, get created into elements through the integration job or through a provisioning job? So there is a scheduled job, automated job, which is available into the Employee Central through LMS, right? So that job is being built, and through that job, the entire information is passed from Employee Central system to the LMS system. So basically, what you see currently on the screen is the user entity is divided into two main areas where you will have the username, which is first name, middle name, and last name. You will have the user ID, you will have the email address and the status of the user. If the user is status of the user is currently active or inactive. If the user is inactive, it means that what the user is being terminated or the user has left the organization. The user is currently not, anymore working with the organization. So so there is something called as license cost. In order to save on the license cost, what is it done? The users are being deactivated into the system because they are no longer, required to be active into the system. When is the user required to be active in the system? When they are, accessing certain learning courses, when they are taking up certain learning courses, they are they are required to be compliant enough to the organization standards as part of the compliance trainings, right? So when the user is no more longer working with the organization, the user can be made as inactive, right? Now we can navigate to the next slide. Under the user profile, you see multiple tabs. Which one is the first one is after the user details, where you see all the personal information of the user. You see assigned items tab. The assigned items or the learning plan tab displays items assigned to the user individually or as part of a curriculum. The tab shows items not yet completed, but not but are a part of the curriculum and needs to be completed again, which is retraining based. What is retraining meaning? Retraining, the term itself is self-explanatory, which means that it can be uh, retraining in a sense, the user needs to complete it within a duration of 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, whatever the client requirement is. So anything which needs to be completed again and again, kind of recurring, is called a retraining, right? Administrators can view the assignment type and required completion date for each assigned item. So right now on the screen, you see that there is this item ID, there is this completion date. So for example, user has completed it again. User is assigned on this date and it is appearing as part of curriculum. So through curriculum, this has been assigned, right? Next, you see on the screen is days remaining, which means that the user has become non-compliant. He has already passed an overdue date. He has not completed it, which he is required to complete within a certain time period, right? And then there is something called as days remaining. User has already been assigned. This is a mandatory course, and he has been assigned with 30 remaining days, where he needs to complete the item within 30 remaining days. So all of this information of the user under the assigned items tabs will be available, right? Administrators can view the assignment type and required completion date for each assigned items. Administrator may assign items not in a curriculum or a program, free floating directly to a user from this tab. So under the assigned tabs, any item which is not a cross-linked entity, which means not a free floating item. It might be a curriculum, it might be a program. So they will be able to see, or they will be able to assign everything under the assigned items tab. Administrators may see duplicate items here that might have been assigned multiple ways to the users. Administrators may also see admins items that have been hidden from the user's own view, such as items with retraining or that are due later than 90 days, or optional items in a curriculum that the user has chosen to hide. So from here, this is the administrator side of interface that you're able to see. So what happens in this case is, and we have assigned all the items, or the user has been assigned certain set of items. It can be a curriculum, it can be a program, it can be an item, it can be, a free floating item, or it can be a retraining item. Apart from that, there might be optional items as well, which they can either choose to complete or which they might not choose to complete because it is an optional item, right? That is not required by their organization to be adherent to the compliance standards. So what happens in this case is, after this has been updated, so this will be reflecting under the assigned items tab. But as a user, what do I have option under the learning homepage? When I, navigate as a user, I will have the option to either hide or either remove the optional item that I don't want to, complete it, provided the required roles and permissions are being granted under the user profile. If a user has been granted with the required access to remove the optional item from their learning plan, they will be able to do that. All right. So apart from that, when you see there is something which is not available or which is assigned as mandatory, it is essential for you or essential for the user to complete that mandatory training, because without completing that training, the user will be non-compliant. All right. So this is one of the important aspects. Apart from this, administrators may also see or view the assignment type and required completion date for each assigned items. What does it mean? They will be able to see the assignment type if it is a required, mandatory, optional. So what does it mean? So it means that when an item is being assigned, they will be able to see if it is an optional item. They think that it is not required for me, necessary for me to complete. If I have been granted with the required access, I just go ahead and remove the learning from my learning plan, right? So usually what happens as part of role-based permission, we do not provide the users to remove any kind of items directly from their learning plan unless and until they are managers or they are super administrators into the system. So as a user, they will not be able to remove any curriculum or program or any kind of item assigned to them, irrespective of the assignment type from their learning plan. Also, along with that, they will be able to see the required completion date user from this tab. So, what is the completion date that they are expected to complete? So, for example, you see here's everything is required. So, you see that they have been asked to complete under this particular date. Assigned date. This is the assigned date. This is the completion date. You see the required date for this item. You see the required date for this item. What does it mean? If I do not complete the item within this time period, I am overdue by this many days. If I have completed the item, I have got 30 days, which means I will from this date, assignment date to the required date. I am currently left with 30 remaining days, right? So if I do not complete the item within 30 remaining days, it means or 10 remaining days, whatever the number of days is, then I will become overdue, or it may lead to my training expiration, wherein I will become a non-compliant resource for the organization, right? So this is the important functionality of assigned items tab. Next, now moving on to the completed items. What does completed items tab means? It is a self-defined, I think, terminology, which means that any item which is being completed by the user will reflect under the completed items tab or the learning history tab. In other words, it is also called as learning history, which means any of the item or any of the learning course which has been completed by the user and provided a credit status in a sense they have been granted some attendance against the completion hours that they have utilized for, right? So under all of this, I will be able to see under the completed items of the user profile for that particular as an administrator, right? The completed items learning history tab displays the list of items completed by the user. It also displays external events such as college courses or seminars outside of the organization or for which there is not an item. Each history record includes a completion status for credit and not for credit completions of items, completion date, time, and any other details. For example, instructor, credit hours, and comments entered when the history record was created, as well as file attachments associated with the history record. So, what does it mean? A file attachment also can be associated with the history record. Suppose a certificate of completion. Suppose any document, at the end of the completion of the course, you might be signing a e-signature document, right? So, a e-signature document which requires validation, while a history record is being uploaded for the user as an administrator for the user profile through the completed items, we can also have the feasibility to attach the file with that particular course history record, right? So if any there is any auditing going on in the organization, right? So for auditing purposes, that particular file attachment can be pulled up, and it can be used for auditing purposes, right? So what does it mean? The completed items learning history tabs displays the list of items completed by the user. It also displays external events, right? We also talked about external events. I explained about external events in the previous sessions. What does it mean? Such as college courses, seminars outside of the organization or for which there is not an item. Each history records include the completion status. This is the completion status that you see It is completed, incomplete, credit granted, credit not granted. Suppose you have failed, it will register with an incomplete status, right? For credit and not for credit, completion of item, completion date and time, and any other details. For example, instructor credit hours comments entered when the history record was created, as well as file attachments associated with the history record. Okay. So, including all of this, we see that, it has been associated with the history record. Now, moving on to the next slide. Okay, so the next one is under the navigation of administrator side of interface. There is a curricular tab also associated. For what does the curricular tab do? The curricular tab lists each curriculum that has been assigned to the users. Administrators can view the status and details of each assigned item curriculum, including individual item completion statuses and curriculum requirements, if any. Administrators can also assign a curriculum to a user through this tab. The curricular tab lists each curriculum that has been assigned to the user. So it also, it only includes the curricular tab which has been assigned to the user. It does not include any free floating item under it. Okay. So apart from that, what do you see else here is administrators can view the status and details of each assigned curriculum, including its individual item completion status and curriculum requirement, if any. But yes, when we talk about individual item completion status, it clearly states that it will not, show the status of each individual item. It will show a cumulative status of what each curriculum status is if that has been completed, if it is an incomplete item. Apart from that, it will also show if it will be if it is a what do I say, if there is any retraining included into it, so that will also be explained as part of this. Okay. Apart from that, what do we see else here is we also see the curriculum tab lists each item that has been used, including an curriculum requirement. When we say about requirement, if it can have retraining, it cannot have retraining. User can be failed it if they have completed the training once, they might not be have completed the retraining. So what does it mean? It means that they have not completed the required training as per the time duration, right? So this is something that needs to be updated. Administrators can also assign a curriculum to a user through this tab. Okay, so using the option of add curricula, you see here we can add a curriculum. Using the option of edit, curricula can be edited. So it can be, anything. It can be assigned date, it can be a next action date. This is something that we can edit as super admins, provided we have all the necessary approvals from the business to edit all the required details. Okay. Next, we see the Programs tab. The Programs tab lists each program that has been assigned to the users. Administrators can view the status and details of each assigned program and assign and remove program from this tab. Similarly, it is, very similar to what you see under Curricular tab. You will be able to see something under the program tab. The major difference that you see here, you will be able to see the type of the program, which is the program period. You will be able to see the rest of the fields similar to what you have seen in items, what you have seen in, curricula. You will see the similar fields like ID, title, assigned by, assigned date, completion date, assignment type. You will also see the, a plus icon here, which is adding. You will also see the into icon here, which is removing. Which you will also see the arrow buttons here for, putting the programs in the ascending order or descending order. So this is something that you will be able to see. Apart from that, program has various types, which you mean to say that is open-ended. So what does open-ended mean? Open-ended means that it does not have any fixed duration. It has, a fixed, you can start at any time, you can end at any point of time. So this is open-ended type of a program. What is a scheduled program means? A scheduled program means it has a fixed start date, it has a fixed end date, right? The next one that you see in the screen, which is 7/10/2020 to 7/17/2020, there is also a start date, there is also a end date. So what does it mean? That it is a fixed duration based type of a program. So this is something that means program. The program tab lists each program that has been assigned to the user. Administrators can view the status and details of each assigned program and assign and remove programs from this tab, right? So this is all about programs. We will learn more about curricula and programs. The difference between the curricula and programs majorly. Why is curricula used and why is program used? So curricula is used majorly where there is a retraining, recurring set of trainings. For any recurring set of trainings, a curricula is used. Whereas, anything which is bundled up but needs to be accessed only once is used through programs. Also, I think when we talk about programs gives us the more leverage to use it in a effective manner, because in the program we can also add instructor led, we can add links, we can add videos, we can add images, we can add urls. So these are all the things that we see under programs, whereas this does not give the definition of curricula. So probably this does not suffice the requirement of curricula. All right, so this is something that we have the difference majorly in curricula and programs. So let's move on to the next one. And this is the next process updates for LMS. So yes, reiterating again, uh, process updates for LMS, yes. As part of administrator side of interface, we have seen that uh, a user item, curricula, program, learning plan, which consists of learning assignments, learning history, record. All of these things are very important to understand as part of the consultant, as part of LMS administrator, to handle day in and day out activities, right? So let me, reiterate more about user. So user is an entity representing a person which consists of employees, contractors, and others who will be assigned learning entities and registered into classes. Managers, approvers, instructors, and HRBPs will also be users. What is item? An item is an assignable unit whose assignment and completion can be tracked. It may be learning or non-learning, optional or required, one time or recurring, if assigned as a part of curriculum. If not, then what it is? It is an individual free floating item, just a learning course which is assigned individually to the user. Okay. Next is curriculum. A group of one or more items or curriculum requirements that can be assigned to users and have its completion status tracked as a group is called curriculum. What is program? A list of activities such as items, links, HTML or text that are organized into various sections of an agenda is called a program. A program may be scheduled, duration based or open-ended. Learning plan or learning assignment, list of items which are assigned to a user that must be completed, reflecting under the My Learning Assignments tab of the learning plan homepage of the user, consists of the items that are assigned to a user that are required to be completed within a particular time duration. It also contains the date by which each item should be completed. Okay. Now, the last one, which is very important, is history record. You might have noticed that, somebody has completed the course multiple times. It is not reflecting in the learning history record. You, as consultant, you need to. So the next one that we have seen here is the history record. A user's participation in the completion of an item or an external event. For items, this record contains the completion status as well as the date of completion and other related information. All right. So what we have seen is it is important to learn some key terms and definition that are associated with the model. Now let's have a glimpse of, what is curricula. We have seen various tabs, which is assigned tabs. We have seen completed items tab. We have seen curricular tab, which means that, the curricular tab lists each curriculum that has been assigned to the users. Administrators can view the status and details of each assigned curriculum, including individual item completion statuses and curriculum requirements, if any. Administrators can also assign a curriculum to a user through this tab. So, we can add multiple items through the curricula here, what you see over the screen. We also have the option of add curricula. We also have the option of edit button over here. Next is we see the program. The program tabs lists each program that has been assigned to the user. Administrators can view the status and details of each assigned program and assign and remove programs from this tab. So they have, you see all the same headers over here, entity headers here. Only difference that you find is in the program period. So in the program period, you will be able to find that there is a definition of open-ended, fixed duration, and scheduled duration. So all of this program period will be listed under the programs tab. All right, then we have what we have covered is we have looked at the beginning of today's session. We have looked at all of the user concepts, entity concepts. We have explored the various layouts of the administrator interfaces, usage of various entities, navigation to the cross-linked entities, menu navigation, utilization of workspace area. We have also learned how a new user is added into SAP SuccessFactors Learning. How do we search for various entities? How do we add or remove search filters? Adjust the display of the search results, and the entire, the last three sessions covers the summarization of the navigation of the administrator side of interface. So today here we complete the entire SuccessFactors Learning Administration interface as a learning admin. So with this, I thank you for joining the session.